Welcome to part 2 of our crochet throw pillow. If you haven't seen part 1 yet, then please check the links in the description. And we're going to begin the next row with a chain 2, and then we're going to place 1 double crochet in each stitch in our row, starting with our next stitch. And you are working these double crochets in the full stitch. And at the end of your row, you're going to want to work in your slip stitch, placing your final double crochet there. And you should have a total of 76 double crochets. From here, you're going to skip your chain 2 and slip stitch into the top of your first double crochet. And for this next row, we're going to be working underneath these triple crochet stitches that form our peaks, as well as the top portion of our stitches right here. And what we're going to do is yarn over twice and then insert our crochet hook up underneath the 2 posts that form the peak directly below our crochet hook right here. Then we're going to yarn over and pull up through the 2 posts, then yarn over and drop 2 loops at a time until we have 2 loops remaining on our crochet hook. From here, we're going to yarn over once and then insert our crochet hook up underneath our next 2 posts that form our next peak. Then we're going to yarn over and drop our posts, then yarn over and drop 2 loops, and then yarn over and drop our last 3 loops. So now we've created this sort of diamond pattern with our posts like this. Just like before, we're just going to place a single crochet in our next 3 stitches. And again, this does not need to be perfect. From here, we're going to yarn over twice and insert our crochet hook up underneath these 2 posts where we've already worked. And this should be somewhere underneath your crochet hook. And we're going to yarn over and pull up through our posts, then yarn over and drop 2 loops at a time until we have 2 loops on our crochet hook. Then we're going to yarn over and work up underneath our next 2 posts that form our next peak. Then yarn over and pull up through the posts, yarn over and drop 2 loops, and then yarn over and drop our last 3 loops. Then working back up in the top portion of our stitch, we're going to place our 3 single crochets. And I usually just try to center these 3 single crochets around my recent peak that I've worked under. From here, we're just going to repeat that pattern going all the way around our row. So I'm going to show you that one more time. Begin by yarning over twice and inserting your crochet hook up underneath these 2 peaks that you just worked under. Then yarn over and pull up through the peaks. Then yarn over and drop 2 loops at a time until you have 2 loops remaining on your crochet hook. From here, we're going to yarn over once and insert our crochet hook up underneath our next 2 posts that form our next peak, and yarn over and pull up through those posts. Then yarn over and drop 2 loops, and yarn over and drop 3 loops. Then working back up in the top portion of our stitch, we're going to place our 3 single crochets, trying to center them around our recent peak that we've worked under. So now your pattern should look something like this. And we're just going to repeat this going around our row. So when you get to the end of your row, we need to join our very last peak of this row with the first peak of the row. And we're going to do that the same way we've been working all the other peaks, by yarning over twice and working up underneath the last peak, yarning over and pulling up through, yarning over and dropping 2 loops at a time until we have 2 loops on our hook. Then we're going to yarn over and insert our crochet hook up underneath the first peak of the row. Then yarn over and pull up through the peak, yarn over and drop 2 loops, and then we're going to yarn over and drop 3 loops. From here, we're going to place our 3 single crochets in the top portion of our row. We're going to end our row by placing 1 slip stitch in our next stitch of our row, like this. And this should get you somewhere near this peak right here. And this will be the second peak from that previous row. So this was our first peak, and this is our second peak. From here, we're going to chain 2, and we're going to place 1 double crochet in each stitch in our row, starting with our next stitch and ending with this slip stitch at the end of our row. At the end of the row, after you've placed your double crochet in your slip stitch, then you're going to skip your chain 2 and slip stitch into the top of your first double crochet. From here, we're going to repeat our last 2 rows over and over to build the body of our throw pillow.
And I went ahead and followed that pattern until I had a total of 16 of these intersections here.
From here, we're going to create our flap. So what we need to do is place slip stitches in these stitches until we can get to our next natural fold. So I recommend laying your throw pillow down flat and then just sort of locating a stitch in the middle of that fold. From here, we're just going to place 1 slip stitch in the remaining stitches between where our crochet hook is and that natural fold. And once you've made it to one of your natural folds, then you're going to chain 2, and from here we're going to place 1 double crochet back in that same stitch where we placed our slip stitch. And then we're going to place 1 double crochet in each of our stitches between our folds. And when you make it to the other side of your natural fold, you should have somewhere around 38 double crochets, but it doesn't have to be exact. It's more of a visual pattern from here. So next, all we're going to do is chain 2 and turn our work. Next, we're going to place a double crochet right here in the top of our last double crochet in our previous row. And then we're just going to place 1 double crochet in each stitch in our row, going all the way down. And you should have the same number of double crochets in this row as you did in your last row. And at the end of your row, you're going to chain 2 and turn your work again. And from here, we're just going to repeat that last row for multiple rows to build the body of our flap. And I crocheted 8 total rows of my flap. And so once you get your flap to your desired length, all you're going to do is just get to the end of your last row and cut, and then we're going to tie off our yarn. And I'm going to hide all visible tails and then stuff my throw pillow slip cover with my throw pillow insert. As always, please let me know in the comments below if you experienced any issues while you were making this, and I will do my best to help you out. Thank you so much for working with me, and I hope you have a wonderful, awesome day.